Hello everybody, and TheCriminalViolin here. Welcome to a game recently released called Together. Now, I downloaded a bunch of free-to-play and completely free games off of Steam recently because there's a lot of awesome games there, or at least games that sounded awesome and were well reviewed. This is one what I decided I wanted to try. It sounded like it might have been potentially kind of fun. And obviously, it's about relationships to an extent. So, without further ado, let us begin. Use the arrow keys to move. Say hi to them. Talk to them. Oh. Message them. Yes. So again, this was recently released. I can only move side to side. So I don't know how exactly the game works entirely. What does it want from me? I do know the controls feel inverted, and I know they are because I have to push right to go left, or left to go right, and right to go left. So, I don't know what I'm doing. It doesn't have an instruction manual either. I don't know if I'm supposed to be reading this entire time, or what shows with them, laugh with them. Be clicking at things? The part with them? No. Oh wait, is this like a swipe right, swipe left thing? Because I don't know how that works in real life. I just know it's a mobile thing. Huh. It does seem kind of like it. Like, if you just let these things fall onto it, it does actually make the love go up, which is kind of interesting. Oh, wait, they're never actually properly, like, quite centered. I wonder if that has something to do with it. Maybe. I don't know. And then if you let it maybe fall off, then it doesn't actually work right? Or like it doesn't let your compassion or your love go up or something. I wonder if that actually is what it has to do with it. It looks, it does, from what I'm seeing, it does actually look like it. That's literally the point of this. Oh yeah, and it's starting to, I think the heartbeat's starting to get a little quicker with the stress going up. It does seem like the heartbeat's gotten up, definitely. It's definitely going up with the stress. Worry about them? Yeah, I see. And know them to work. Yeah, I see. I'm not paying complete attention. That's what I'm doing. Ah, ha, 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 ha. The stress is still going up. Maybe? I don't know. Oh, wow. Oops. Yeah, I'm starting to get it a little bit more now. I really am. Snuggle with them. Now that is a desirable thing to do. I get it, yeah. It took me way too long to figure that out, but considering that's the only thing, and then I just realized that all this is happening. Yeah. Wow! I assume you can lose the game, and it probably is that your heart beats too fast, you get too stressed. I assume. Oh my god, it does move so much faster suddenly. Yes, get the right direction here. I wonder if this is a balance thing. It is. It literally is a balance thing. I get it, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I get it. It literally is. It's an entire story that's focused with balance. balance in mind. Yeah, I get that. Oops. Yeah. So in other words, it's what it really is it's all about priority. What do you prioritize? Yeah, in your life. Yep, that's 100% what this is. Because stress tends to go up the more you actually start spending time with them when the work stuff comes back into play. Yeah, see? So stress can really get the best of you, in other words, is this entire point. If you're like making your entire life about the one person, but also at the same time, if you make your entire life about work or whatever instead, yeah, I get it. So you can let all of these things fall through, or you can actually choose to Jesus. Oh my god, yeah, the heart's getting so much bigger, so it's actually harder to avoid. It's impossible to actually avoid these things. Oh Jesus. No. I think it is actually kind of it eventually grows impossible. I get it. Yeah. In other words, it can get to a point where it's impossible to balance. So that is together. That took the entire time before it really got the entire gist of the entire point of the game. So I wouldn't necessarily call this so much of a game. It's even hard to kind of call it something like a visual novel or something, but it is to kind of express, in other words, the extreme, I guess, problem, overall I would call it, complication with life, and balancing what is most important to you in your life, and the needs and desires and wills and other things of other people and yourself, their lives and your lives. So yeah, that's but what's really cool about it is that he doesn't try at all, realistically. It doesn't try too hard. It tries just enough, just enough effort to put that out there, and that's the entire premise of the entire story here. And it is truly that way. It actually does make a lot of sense. It's crazy how some people can manage to balance throughout it all, but eventually, at some point, if you have this kind of a constant tug of war between all the different priorities and all the different things you have to do in your life with the one you love and yourself, and then their independence, your independence, what they want to do, what you want to do, their friends, their family, your family, work, hobbies, all this stuff, like everything that you have to, your own friends, yeah, you have to balance everything and all the priorities, and you have to make sure you make the right sacrifices and everything. Eventually, it will end up probably breaking somebody and breaking up the relationship as well, and even potentially literally putting them to the point where they're just completely dead in the water, like you lose your job and everything, because you can't properly sacrifice or balance when you have that much to juggle around, sacrifice, balance, and deal with. Like, that actually makes a lot of sense. So, it's a game of life, basically, is what this is. That actually makes a lot of sense. So, like, if I wanted to, like, for example, let's go right into it. I could, just straight off the bat, I could literally just make it so that, like, if you wanted to, you can make it so that the stress goes through the roof, and then you end up broken that way. Or you could go the route where it starts doing the whole weird abuse thing and stuff, and other things that would be really stressful, and just things where you ignore them and all that. That, at that point, you could 100% go that route too, and then that would be, in other words, the love and compassion fallout. and they don't exist any longer. But you could even choose the fourth one, which is the work route, and focus on instead your life and your work and all that, and not really paying attention to them. And then that will still eventually make you lose balance and potentially lose the game at that point as well. So actually that makes a lot of sense. Like, you really could choose these routes. Or you could choose to treat it like an actual game and literally just find whatever for lack of a better term, the algorithm is that will keep your stress low enough that you don't cause yourself a fracture in your heart or to lose. But at the same time, you don't necessarily lose out all the compassion, or you don't suddenly dip really low in the love or anything like that. So really, it is a game that has enough of a set of options and choices that you could entirely treat this as if it was an actual game that you would win if you made all the choices, perhaps in your mind, that are right. That was just entire game balance. And at that point, I don't know, this seems like it could potentially actually be possible that you could prolong it for as long as you wanted to, if that's the entire point here. So, like, now I'm going to intentionally go the stress route. I'm going to do everything that potentially makes the stress skyrocket through the roof. I'm just going to see how quickly I can make, in this case, myself or the character broken, depending on how you want to look at it. So basically, anything that won't raise the stress is going to be something that I'm going to avoid. And then I could do it again if I really wanted to set the example that I could go the opposite route. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. Yeah, so with their friends. Yep. You can see how, like, quickly, suddenly, it's going to end up starting to go really out of hand. With the stress, because, well, actually, the stress went down with that one. There also seems to be a timer on this, so in other words, there's a certain point, I guess, when all the attention and affection you give them will make your stress start going through the roof no matter what. Like, in other words, you have to start taking the time for yourself. You have to, and see, like that, for example, you have to take the time to sleep. You have to give yourself the time you have to give yourself the time you need as well. You can't just focus on other things. See this? There it goes. Yeah, see, and then there you go. This time you get 100, 100, 100. So it is technically an entire game of balance. It is literally to work. Like, if you wanted to, you could intentionally use it as probably at least one of, I would assume, probably multiple intentions that Alex had here for playstyle choosing. Like, in other words, you could literally make it into a game to prolong it as much as possible and find whatever, again, lack of a better term, happy balance, the algorithm is that keeps it persistently balanced between the three. But eventually, the entire point of it is that it's directly telling the story of real life. In other words, you have to take the time for yourself. You have to take the time for your work. You have to take the time for your friends. You have to take the time for your own sanity and independence, and whether it's being isolated or being with somebody else, or being with your friends, your family, or whatever. Doing things that you want to do, whether it's by yourself or not. You know, you have to take that, and then, of course, doing your work and stuff, you have to take all that time. But then, obviously, if you went the opposite route I just did there, and you focused almost entirely on work, one, the love would fall out, and two, you'd probably still grow stressed eventually because of the fact that you're realizing that your relationship with that person is plummeting out of existence, it is falling through, and you will lose them if you keep focusing on your work. But at the same time, you know, you need to focus on your work, and at the same time, you need to focus on yourself. So it's like, it's a literal, it's the story of sacrifice and balance in life. That's literally what the entire point of this is. So that was Together. This game was really recently released. This is an indie title, of course. And yeah, well done by Alex. It's very simple, very easy to figure out. But that was Together. So I hope you guys do enjoy it, and I hope you guys take home the message that, in other words, you gotta make sure you always remember not only to take time for yourself and your own health and well-being and your work, but you also gotta take time for those, you know, the other people in your life. And if you have a significant other, then that's two different things. That's that person and then the relationship, since it's technically considered separate, and you need to face it as separate together. Then at that point, you have just this suddenly massively expanded amount of incredibly important things you have to somehow manage to sacrifice properly and balance properly, or else you'll fall apart. Basically, you'll potentially lose everything. You might just lose that person, end up broken. You might end up losing your job, and as a result, you might lose that person. I mean, there's so many billion different things. So in other words, you got to remember that there's a happy balance to everything. So you got to take care of yourself. You got to take the time for yourself. You got to take the time for your friends and your family. You got to take the time for your work. You got to take the time for them and that relationship, to nurture them in that relationship as well. Life is definitely a very stressful game of balance, and everybody technically has a little bit different balance. But then at the same time, with the relationships, you have to find a new happy balance. It's not going to be your own personal happy balance, because it's kind of a bind with that other person, and then wherever you two then locate also the balance with that person. So yeah, it's basically a really gentle reminder to people. In other words, be careful what sacrifices you make. You better be sure you make the right ones, and to take care of yourself, not just them, but also don't do it the opposite direction, where you end up taking too much time for yourself and your job and not for the relationship, because then it will die. So your job could die, you could die, they could die, the relationship could die, or everything could explode into flames. Oh man, there's so many different ways to explain that, but I hope you got the gist of it. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope I did this due diligence for you, Alex, and I hope if you see this video that you actually appreciate the reaction and that I had, and how long it took me to figure out what the game was, because I didn't actually pay attention. So this is actually one of the perfect cases. I keep going on and on when I'm trying to end this. This is one of the perfect cases where if I don't remember or don't actually look into what exactly a game is about, and therefore I don't know what I am doing, this is a perfect case of why that actually can be very beneficial, because, whew, man, that actually adds to the experience, I think, personally. But anyway, stay safe, stay fluffy wherever you guys are, and I hope to see you in the next video. That's the video. Bye-bye.